Hey guys, how's it going? This is Hero, and today I have a very important topic for you guys, which is the D45 chart. Okay, so first to get into it, as you guys may or may not have known, I made a video on the D60 chart. Now, something I want you to keep in mind very quick, very um, subtly, is that in the main Lugna chart, there's three main spiritual houses. Okay, I'm gonna explain how this all ties into the D45 in a second. There's three main spiritual houses. Okay, there's 8, there's 9, and there's 12. And then there's also the 5th house, which kind of governs an intuition in general. Okay, or like past life knowledge, you can say. So 8, 9, and 12, and then there's the 5th house. Now, what do you notice about the last 3 divisional charts of the whole Jyotish system? Okay, the last 3 main well-recognized originals charts. Okay, the D40, D45, and the D60. The D40 is 5 times 8. The D45 is 5 times 9, and the D60 is 5 times 12. Okay, so as I said in my D60 video also, the more and more you get to the end of the divisional charts, the more and more spiritual charts they are. Okay, meaning the more and more kind of intuition and that spiritual higher conscious knowledge is going to be required to interpret these charts. Okay, they're not really too much used for what's happening on the surface. Okay, they do have an impact, of course. The spiritually and the material world, they're intertwined to an extent, but the Lugna chart itself, it shows the actual, like I said, the physical placements of the planets. Okay, the divisional charts are kind of showing the results in isolated areas. So like I said, the D40, the D45, and the D60 are like the 3 main like quote unquote, you can say, spiritual charts. Okay, obviously the D60 is the most important, which I've already made a video on. But so you could say the D45, it's basically almost kind of like the 5th house and the 9th house combined. Okay, just kind of like how the D60 chart. I didn't touch into too much this topic. I didn't touch into this kind of realm of things too much in that video. But the D60 chart is kind of like the D5. I mean the 5th house and the 12th house combined. Okay, so what does this mean? It basically means, okay, for example, the D60 chart, it's showing the 5th house and the 12th house, versus the D45 is showing the 5th house and the 9th house. So the D60 chart is showing, I also kind of made a, kind of like an analogy to all the different koshas, on the different structure in the divisional chart. So I basically said every 12 is a different kosha, and then the D60 chart is sitting kind of at the back of the 5th kosha, okay? The D45 chart, if you don't understand what I'm saying, you kind of have to watch that D60 video where I explain the koshas. I'm not going to explain it all again in this video. But the D45 chart, it's kind of not right at the back of the 4th, but it's kind of almost there, okay? And like I said, the D45, it's kind of like the 5th house. It's kind of like a zoom in on the 5th house and a zoom in on the 9th house combined, okay? So what does this mean? This basically means the planets here are showing, I mean, the placements here, excuse me. All the placements here are showing what the planets have come to kind of learn, okay? I'll explain this right now. So, and I'll kind of compare it to the D60 chart, because I know a lot of you guys who are watching this video, you've probably looked up the D60, because and then you're kind of working backwards among all the divisional charts. So the D60 chart, like I said, it's basically, you could say, like the 5th house and the 12th house combined. Okay, so what does this mean? Like I also said in that D60 video, the placements in the D60 chart, they're basically what the planets are, the truest soul level. Okay, now here's what you have to think. What does the 12th house represent? The 12th house represents like moksha, enlightenment. Okay, you could say that's one of the things it represents. Okay, so you could say, and this is why the D60 chart is so important. you could say that when a planet, when you detach from all the placements in the D60 chart, you've achieved moksha, okay? Or that's probably one of the easiest ways to achieve moksha, okay? What do I mean by this? This is where it gets a little complicated, and you really have to have that intuition before you know what I'm talking about. But like I said, the D60 chart shows the placements of the planets right at the closest level, right before the true soul level. Okay, so once you kind of understand those placements, once you kind of understand those placements and kind of move past that and detach from those, right? Because that's what the 12th house represents, right? Because 60 is 5 times 12. So once you kind of detach from that, that's it. You're good. Okay, to an extent. Like I said, you have to have a lot of intuition to kind of know what I'm talking about, but that's to an extent. But now back to the video topic. You could watch also my D60 video if you want a little bit more information on that. But the D45 chart, okay? So, like I said, the D45 chart, it's kind of towards the end of the fourth, okay? Towards the end of the fourth. So, the fourth kosha is from 36 to 48, okay? So, it's 45, it's right there. 40, it's in the fourth, but it's more in the middle beginning, okay? So, the 45 is at the end of the fourth. Now, like I said, it's the 5th house and the 9th house kind of combined. Okay, all the last divisional charts, the D40, 45, and the 60, all have the 5th house element. Okay, you need the 5th house to for any spiritual kind of inclination to an extent. Okay, because that's kind of the basis of your spiritual kind of journeys in this life, okay? But like I said, the spiritual journeys are represented by the 8th, 9th, and the 12th. But now, the 9th house. What does the 9th house represent? The 9th house represents kind of knowledge you will learn, okay? So, the D45 chart shows what is the planet trying to learn in this life, okay? So, to an extent. So the D60 chart, to an extent, it shows what you kind of need to detach from, but that's also to an extent. What it really shows is kind of who the planet is at the last core true like level before the soul level. So, but then if you detach from that, you move into the soul level, and then moksha is achieved, hopefully. Okay. Like I said, to an extent. I don't like throwing that word moksha around like a play term, but this is just a way that you can understand for right now if you don't have that intuition. If you do, you'll know what I'm talking about. So like I said, the D45 chart, to an extent, I'm speaking very general here for a broader audience. But the D45 chart, like I said, it's showing what you could say. You have to really understand the 9th house if you understand the 9th house, you'll understand the D45 chart like this. If you understand the D60 chart and the 9th house, you'll understand the D45 chart. Like this. Also, if you understand the Navamsha chart, because the D45 is basically just the Navamsha chart, like broken into 5 more pieces. Okay, so 5 more kind of intuitive pieces. Okay, so the D45 chart, also like D45, D60, anything like that, the houses and the signs are relevant here, okay? But here's the catch. If you don't have the exact time, the houses are not going to be accurate, right? Because the ascendant changes very quickly. It changes like every 2 or 3 minutes. So keep that in mind. But the signs are still good enough, okay? The signs are actually, from a spiritual awareness standpoint, are more important in my opinion than the houses. The houses still hold a great value, okay? But the sign is showing a lot, and I'll make a separate video on signs versus houses and why I think signs is more important. But the sign the planet is in the D45 is kind of showing what like at a higher knowledge level, okay? You can think about whatever you intuitively and rationally know about the 5th house and the 9th house, okay? The the sign, or if you know the exact birth time, and you have to be very, very sure, okay? And I'll make another video on how you can tell. If you have good enough intuition, you could just kind of tell in a deeper chart if a placement is wrong, okay? It just won't sit well with you inside, okay? But I'll leave that for another video also. For right now, I would say just focus on the sign, okay? Because most people, when they look at houses, they're looking at materialistic outcomes and all this kind of stuff, okay? But just focus on awareness right now, and specifically sign awareness for certain planets, okay? So whatever sign that a planet is in the D45 chart, that is showing, that's showing kind of what energies that planet came here to learn, you could say, okay? That's also, to an extent, a little bit shown in the D40 chart as well. But I'll explain the difference between the D40 and the D45 later, okay? Because D40, like I said, is 5 times 8, while D45 is 5 times 9, okay? The 8th and the 9th house have a lot to do with, growing spiritually, okay? The 8th house kind of governs intuition, okay? The 9th house governs more higher learning, okay? Religion, stuff like that. But they're both very, very important for spiritual growth, okay? But as far as just the 45 goes, the 45 is showing what it came to learn, but not at an intuitive level, more at more at like a higher learning level, okay? And how you can recognize this, what I mean by this, you have to really, really, really understand the 8th house versus the 9th house, okay? You understand those in your charts, you'll be able to understand the difference between the D40 and the D45, okay? But like I said, in general, the D45, it shows what you could say right now, just in general, the planet signs or the houses, if you have the right time, the placements in the D45, it shows what those planets came here to learn, okay? And that includes conjunctions as well, okay? So learning like a planet's energies, it's affected by a lot of different stuff, okay? It's not just the sign in the house, it's also the conjunctions, the aspects, where its ruler's placed. It in that sense, that's similar for all the charts, okay? Even the divisional charts, I look at all that, okay? They all the energies kind of add their own little flavor to that chart, okay? But the D45, it basically shows how that planet is growing at a higher level, okay? So for example, if you're running a Mahadasha of a certain planet, right? I'll look at the D45 chart and you'll notice the sign. Like I said, don't worry about the house too much because your time might be off and you might not even know it. But even if it's like an official birth certificate, but look at the sign, okay? And do some research or go inside a little bit and see in the D40, like in general, how that planet does, the planet which Mahadasha you're running or Antardasha. Let's just say you're starting a new Antardasha soon. Before it starts, see that planet's Antardasha that's starting, what sign that planet is in the D45 chart, okay? And then when that happens, like I said, go inside and see how that planet behaves in that sign, okay? And you'll notice that when that happens, when that Antardasha happens, that there's a lot of learning. Obviously, you're going to get the flavors. Let's just say you're running a Jupiter Antardasha, okay? Obviously, you're going to get the general flavors of the Jupiter Antardasha, okay? But at the D45 level, like I said, it's showing the higher learning of what that planet is going through, okay? So let's just say your Jupiter, let's just say your Jupiter is in in Pisces. Okay, you'll notice that throughout that Antardasha, at a deep soul level, it's trying to learn more about letting go. Okay, now you could say, oh well, you know, that's just what Jupiter is because it rules Pisces, and that actually might have been a little bit of a bad example. Okay, so let's give another example. Let's just say your Jupiter is in Cancer. Okay, you'll notice at a deep level that you want to use your Jupiterian energies provided to you from this Antardasha um and kind of help people, but you want to learn more about that Jupiter in Cancer. Okay, you're whatever's happening externally is all kind of in that those higher charts. By higher I mean like D1 and like everything D1 to D12. Like that's what I mean by higher in this sense, or the lower number divisional charts. That's showing everything that's happening. But what's truly kind of operating at a soul level is those lower charts, like I said. So like I said, if Jupiter's in Cancer in the D45 and you're starting an Antardasha of Jupiter, it's going to show, you'll notice that you just want to learn a little bit more about helping people. Okay, that's just one example. I'll take another example. Let's just say Saturn, right? Let's just say Saturn is in Virgo. Okay, in your D45, right? After your Jupiter Antardasha, you have your Saturn Antardasha. Okay, like I said, it's in Virgo. You'll notice that regardless of the stuff that's happening, to an extent, all the divisional charts, even though the higher numbered ones are more spiritual, intuitive, like I said, they still have a slight impact on the material world as well. And the lower number ones, even though they're more showing what's happening on the surface, they still have an impact on the spiritual world as well, because they're all intertwined. It just gets more and more spiritual as you go down. But let's just say Saturn's in Virgo in your D45 chart. You'll notice in your Saturn Antardasha that regardless of what's happening, you're wanting to know more. You're wanting to learn more about Saturn, how the Saturn behaves in Virgo. Okay, so you're wanting to learn more about the practical nature of Saturn and how it's able to decipher that Saturn energy is being able to operate in Virgo, and how that Saturn energies that it carries naturally of Capricorn and Aquarius, kind of being disciplined and fulfilling karma related to others, is operating in the sign of Virgo, which kind of revolves around deciphering wants versus needs. Okay, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like I said, if you just go within, develop that intuition, and then everything will just start speaking to you. Okay, like I said, inside this is basically your higher consciousness is basically the internet. Okay, you're not the actual internet, but like the spiritual internet, the real spiritual connection. Okay, you go within, you're connected to everything spiritual. Okay, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with this whole video. Okay, but on a basis, I know I kind of went all over the place. I kind of went off on a few tangents here, but like I said, the D45 chart at a whole, it's showing the 5th house and the 9th house kind of zoomed in combined, and it's showing the higher knowledge that a planet, or it's showing the higher knowledge of all the placements of the planets. Okay, so it's showing the planets are us. Okay, we're not separate from them. Okay, so it's showing it's showing how our planets are parts of us. Okay, so, and they're us at the same time. You'll know what I mean over time, but it's showing how all the energies of that we have are what their higher learning goal is in this life. Okay, so I'm gonna end the video right there. Hope you guys enjoyed. I could see this video getting a question getting some questions and stuff. So if you have any, let me know. Until next time, talk to you guys later. Thank you.